Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And once again, welcome to the back of the range. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 229. Hope everyone had a relaxing weekend and was able to celebrate Thanksgiving with family and friends. Yes, I'm back in the saddle again after taking a couple days off. There's still a glimmer of hope that I'll get to 250 before the end of the year. It's going to be a fun ride with some incredible guests. You know, I figured I'd close out the month of November with the return of two former guests at the back of the range that have done some incredible things in 2021. So, time to revisit with a couple all-time favorites. My guest on this episode is Jeronimo Esteve. Now, before I tell you what we covered in this episode, if you don't know Jero's entire story, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to episode 61. Back in 2019, on that episode, we covered his entire story, how he got into the game, how he battled through cancer treatments while qualifying for the U.S. Mid-Am. That's an all-time story. So I highly recommend going back, get a good base knowledge on Jero's story, and then come back to this episode, number 229. Jeronimo had a hell of a year. Multiple wins, multiple top tens in elite amateur tournaments, and he saved his best for last by capturing the win at the inaugural Devil's Elbow Mid-Amateur Invitational at Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. By the way, if you could find a better named golf tournament, you just let me know, because this might be the coolest name ever. We spoke about this tournament, how he helped with the organization and the promotion of the event, along with Hiram Silva and Eric Morales. And I guess I forgot to mention that they were able to secure a PGA Tour exemption into the Corales Championship in 2022 for the winner. As you might expect, Jeronimo picked up the win, and he's heading back for another crack at a PGA Tour event. Now, plenty of links in the show notes of this episode. Links to Jeronimo's first episode, number 61, links to the Devil's Elbow website, all that good stuff. So make sure you check that out. And also leave a review if you haven't done so already. The Devil's Elbow has just announced their tournament dates in 2022. It's going to be November 9th to the 12th. Now, I don't know where you live, but if you're a competitive mid-amateur and you and your wife/girlfriend, or maybe both, are usually looking at snow during the month of November, you might want to add this tournament to your schedule next year. So check out the links in the show notes of this episode. Make sure you're following along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Remember, I'm running a Black Friday and Cyber Monday special where every single episode is available for free to download at thebackoftherange.com. And that special deal expires. It never expires. They're all free. Just enjoy the episodes. Lots of episodes coming your way in December, but let's get to this one. Let's kick off the week. Jeronimo, welcome back to the back of the range. How are you?
I'm great, man. Good to be back. This is a huge honor to be a second-time participant here in Back of the Range.
I had to look it up, man. I mean, gosh, not that anything in the world has changed since episode 61.
right.
February 20th, 2019 was your was the time that you were on the back of the range. Yeah, nothing much has changed in the world, right?
Totally. Yeah. It's all the same. Yeah, exactly. No, it's been a crazy couple of years, man. It's great to be back on and here with you, man. It's like obviously the world changed and we all changed a little bit, and thankfully you and I both live in Florida, where it's been a little bit more normal than most other places.
Yes, it has.
So, we gotta kind of count our blessings, man.
I know, man. I mean, man, when I've been traveling all over this summer and going to different areas, and I love the places I've gone. I've been to Pennsylvania. I've been to Texas. I've been to South Carolina. I've been to I've been all over, but it's always nice coming home to South Florida. I can definitely say that.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. So
you have had a fantastic season, 2021 season. Obviously as an elite mid-am, it's not just about what you do on the golf course. It's about balancing that with family and with work and with everything. And, we could go down the line of, what you've done on the golf course, top tens in some of the premier mid-amateur tournaments, and obviously making an appearance at the U.S. Mid-Am at Sankaty. We'll talk about that in a bit, but not to dive too deeply into COVID. But hey, like you said, it's a reality. This is the world we live in. What were kind of your expectations from a golf perspective, from a competitive golf perspective, heading into 2021?
Ben, again, we're going to reference Florida, right? So our club, when COVID happened, and all the tournaments got canceled, I got real lucky. My club here in Orlando, Alworth, was really only closed for maybe 10 days or 14 days while they kind of figured out what was happening. And then we went right back to playing golf. We, at the office, it got slower, but we kept everybody on during the whole COVID thing. So we had a lot of people. We kept people busy, but I didn't really have to be there all that much. And I was trying to help my wife out. The kids were home for the first semester, so I was trying to, stay home with her as much as I could. I'd be in the office a couple hours. I'd be home, and then we really played a lot of golf. And we had a group of guys. We were playing 4 or 5 times a week, and good games. I played a lot of golf with John Cook, and played a lot of golf with D.A. Points and Narjan Atwal. And when you start hanging out with players like that, man, inevitably some of their stuff just kind of starts rubbing off. So I feel like I had a huge advantage, man, because I know like Nursky, my good buddy, man, they weren't playing in Missouri. They didn't play for like 6 months. And meanwhile I'm playing more golf than I've ever played, to be honest with you. So, there were no tournaments. We had nothing to play in. And then, but I was playing really good golf. And then out of nowhere, Michael Muir from Pennsylvania and in the Northeast, they created this tournament last October called the Muppet. And it was really like everybody was sick of not playing. They kind of made a tournament out of thin air. It was like maybe 55 guys. And we played at Trump National there in D.C., and everybody flew in. It was so great to see everybody. These are guys you usually see 4 or 5 times a year. Yeah. And and everybody was stuck at home, which is great, but not at the same time, not really. So, man, we got to this tournament, and we're like, wow, man, we get to compete. And we had a great, I remember that we walked in, everybody was at the bar at the hotel, and everybody was like with masks and this and that, man. And by 2 drinks in, man, we're all like hugging each other and high-fiving. But anyways, that was a tournament. It was a great field. The weather was horrible, and I played really well, and ended up winning that. There's a couple college kids involved and a couple of really good mid-ams, and I won that tournament. It gave me a little bit of confidence, and it kind of like validated to me that all the stuff that I had been kind of working on and the good golf I was playing at home could kind of travel a little bit, when tournaments started coming back on in 21, I try to make a schedule that my wife would be okay with, and obviously Smart, I had built up the emotional bank account quite a bit during COVID, so I was ready to make my withdrawals, man. And
I love it.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Just saying it, just putting it out there so blankly. Look, I paid my dues during COVID, and now my debit card is stocked. It's
stocked, yeah. So exactly. So I started cashing big checks, and
nice. So good.
And honestly, the goal was to the goal was to try to get exempt into the mid-am. With a point exemption, I was exempt in 19 via points, and it was the top 25, and they had moved it for 21 to the top 40,
right?
And I thought I had a chance if I played well, like I could kind of get that exemption again. So I kind of I try to play events and to really try to I could play well and play against kids, and so I started playing and just played solid from the beginning. Carlton Woods was was one of the first ones. I'll tell you a quick story. Before I started playing like the mid-am events, I actually had the club championship at my home course at Indian Creek down there in Miami. And, you know, I usually go down there and, you know, use kind of the first round as kind of like a practice round, and
Sure.
and then kind of get into like the deeper rounds. But this time I went down and the course was firmer than I had seen it in years. The greens were really fast. I wasn't on my A game, and I lost in the first round, man. I got waxed. A guy I played, David Simon's a good player. He made 15 pars in a row, and I just couldn't keep up.
Damn.
And yeah, and that was a good wake up call for me. You know that hey man, like you got to put in a little work. So put in a little work, and then went off to Carlton Woods. Kind of last minute, I got into that event. My buddy Kyle Maxwell got me in and went in there and went up there, and I felt really good about my game, and I played solid. I played solid, and the final round was a crazy round. I shot 66, but it was really tight there for a while. I was a couple shots back going into the round, and just I had Kyle on the back. He blew out his back, and man, he helped me a lot, and I made some good putts and was striking the ball well. And I ended up winning by 5 or 6, and that kind of really just catapulted me forward. And the following week, I had a tournament down at I had the Dominican Amateur, which I went down to play because it was at Teeth of the Dog, which is where they're going to play the LAC this year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go down there and get kind of some tourney reps there and get ready for the LAC. I went down, I won that. So, you know, won back to back. I really had never done that before. Then came back and, gosh, I forgot what else I played in, but I ended up, you know, I represented Puerto Rico in the Caribbean Amateur. I won that. Then we go to Pine Valley, and again, my game was, I felt really good about my game, and, you know, I played really solid and medaled in stroke play, and then played Muir in match play. And honestly, he played great, and I didn't bring it, and he kicked my butt like he usually does.
Another former guest in the back of the range. I mean, that
guy's
so good.
Yeah, man, he's so good up there.
Yeah.
He's so good, period.
Oh,
but
I
he was
know,
so
yeah.
good up there. Yeah, and that was a cool couple of weeks because we had you know, we had PV, and it was in unbelievable shape, and it was so great to be back there. We hadn't been back there in a couple of years.
That must have been a hell of a reunion there. Now
we had PV, and then we went, like, you know, a lot of us went right to the mid-am. So it was nobody knew much about Sankaty. Amir had gone and plays there quite a bit. A couple guys had gone before, but majority of us had never been a Sankaty. So we had all heard great things. You know, it was the logistics of getting to Nantucket were really difficult, but kind of everybody figured it out. And yeah, we were right into the mid-am and got lucky and got paired with Muir and watched him play great again for the first couple rounds. And I just kind of hung around him and made match play. And then played Mark Dole, and he played great, and I didn't bring it again, and got waxed first round. But it was it was a cool couple of weeks, obviously, and just unbelievable summer, man. Unbelievable summer.
That sounds good. Now we're gonna backtrack a little bit because I know you have a lot of faith in me as a podcaster and as a friend, and you know, I always take care of my guests. I make sure I edit out things that they say. Maybe they didn't realize that this was being recorded, but I want to go back to something you said originally, and I just want to make sure it's okay for me to leave this into the episode. Did you really say that one of your good friends is Brad Nursky?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So leave that in, or I mean, I can cut that if you want. You want me to leave this in?
No, you're fine. Man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure because this is Nursky. Nursky's a legend.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I have to apologize. So, you know, you mentioned your club at Isleworth in Orlando. You mentioned Indian Creek in Miami. If anyone that knows you and knows your history in Florida golf, it's kind of hard to know where you're at one particular time because you're either in South Florida or in Orlando. Now, I was at Isleworth for the collegiate, and I never thought for a second to reach out because I assumed you're in Miami. Did I screw that up? Were you at Isleworth around September time during October for the collegiate?
Yeah, so when the collegiate was here, we were I think we were at the mid-am.
That's right. Okay, so I don't feel so bad. But I do want to talk about Isleworth because it is such an incredible place. And
Yeah.
it's not just, I mean, the golf course is fantastic. The facility is fantastic. But, you mentioned Cook, you mentioned, Arjun Atwal and D.A. Points. And those are three that I didn't see at Isleworth, but I did see Charles Howell III. I did see Retief Goosen. And,
Yeah.
You kind of alluded to the fact that you can't help but get better when you're there. For what are some of the things that maybe you're picking up when you're playing with them or when you're practicing with them that you're kind of adopting into your game? It's obviously it's not okay. I need to hit it as far as them. It's more so, I'm guessing, just how to manage your game professionally that you can take to these amateur tournaments.
Yeah, it's like they all have their strengths. Yeah, like Cookie's just such a wealth of knowledge about the game. And I would sit there and pick his brain about anything. Even like the way he stores his, that's something stupid, but the way he stores his gloves in his bag, right? Like I used to have, like, you kind of have gloves and you shove them in your bag, and they get all, every time you put them on, they're all dry, right?
Crusty,
but like,
yeah.
Yeah. But I noticed Cookie puts all his old gloves inside a Ziploc bag. So so I started doing that. I'm like, why did you do that? He goes, oh, because it keeps some moisture in, right? Like, that's something really stupid. But man, now all my gloves, even my used gloves, are in this Ziploc bag. And every time I pull them out, they're like beautifully moist and soft. And it's like, and it's just little stupid stuff like that. Arjun, I pick his brain about the short game all the time. DA about practice habits, man. He's got great routines. But more than anything, it's really just the confidence they gave me, man. I remember, I play, like I said, I played a lot with, especially Arjun, and Arjun sat me down one day. He goes, Jero, he goes, what are you doing, man? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, how are you not winning every tournament you play in? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, Jero, man, your game is unbelievable, man. You got to go out there and win every one of these events. And I was like, no, seriously. And I was like, And then I went to the Muppet and won. And then, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's just the confidence of playing with them. And obviously, they've done it for a living. They've all been very successful. And just kind of testing your game with their game and seeing where it stacks up. And, those guys, they're both, obviously Cook is a lot older, but Arjun and Day are a little bit older than me, but, not too much. And kind of, I feel like, if I play well, I'm hanging with those guys.
Yeah.
Pretty solidly, and it's not like a one-off. No, I played enough golf with them where, like, it was there, like I could see it, so the goal is, look, there's great mid-ams, right? The Joes, Duraney, the Garretts, and the Stewart Hagestad, and Scott, in my opinion, those guys are, really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And I just think that I'm trying to get better and trying to get to their level. And the more I can kind of pick these better guys' brains and kind of absorb anything they're willing to give out, and to give them a lot of credit. They've been super kind with me. They've been super patient. They've been, no matter how dumb the question is, they've answered it. And, I'm just trying to get, to hopefully where I can compete with those guys. That's really my goal, and that's, to like close that. I mean, that's, what joining Isleworth has allowed, me, and like you said, I play golf with Retief and he hits it 40 yards by me. And it's just like,
that's a grown ass man, by the way. I mean, good God, that guy, he knows his way in around a gym, and he does not look, whatever his age is, 51 to, you don't look like that.
Yeah. I mean, the guy flies it, 305, it's pretty impressive.
I saw when I was there, so I bump into Charles Howell III. We've tried to kind of coordinate and get an episode set up, and met him and talked to him a bit. And I can't remember what day it was, but it was at the entrance of the clubhouse. And this story will be kind of odd, but I think it'll make sense, and you'll probably back me up on it. But when we met, he's got his golf cart. Obviously, it's got his Oklahoma State Cowboy logo on it, and he's got a shag bag and a pair of golf shoes sitting on the floorboard on the driver's side of the golf cart. And, he went into the gym and whatever. The next day, the golf cart is parked in the exact same spot, exact same golf shoes, exact same shag bag, sitting like it was deja vu, like it was in the Matrix. It was the exact same thing. And the reason I'm telling that story is that is probably not an accident. I'm guessing that guy and many others at Isleworth are that regimented and that consistent with their routines.
Yeah, I think Charles is the one that said that the guys that live in Orlando are the guys that want to, work out and be, family pros, and the guys that move with Jupiter want to be pros and kind of have a good, a little bit better time.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are, they work out. It's their job. You could see it, and you don't bother them when they're really working. And some of those guys, Charles couldn't be a nicer guy in the universe. He is ask you about your family, ask you about your game, but Charles doesn't play with us. He plays with his son. He practices and he's done. That's his golf.
Yeah.
But other guys love playing. Like I said, other guys love playing, and then it's great. We got a bunch of young guys that are up and coming that are unbelievable.
You got Horsfield's out there too, right?
Yeah, man. Horsfield just joined last summer, man, and he's playing with him. You're like, okay, I get it. we got Ryan Ruffles, Curtis Luck. We got another great young Australian who's had an unbelievable year, Lucas Herbert. Watching those guys do work is it's pretty cool, man, and picking their brain. It's fun, man. It's definitely, when I moved to Orlando, my dad's like, man, your game is gonna get so much better, and he was right, man. I think my game's definitely improved in Orlando. And ever since joining Isleworth, man, it's really been really, really good.
That's I can't imagine a better place to get better. That's one thing I really took away from that place. Yes, the golf course is fantastic, but I just looked at the kind of the energy that was there on that range, and I think Foley was Foley was working with someone, and Grant Waite was there. And,
exactly. That's another great guy who's we played a lot of golf. I mean, this guy, I played with him once. He hit 2 pins on the fly in 18 holes. It's just like, oh my goodness, and I'm lucky, man. My teacher's there at Isleworth, man. He's our teaching pro. He's a very talented golfer, a guy by the name of Matt Borchard, man, and he's helped my game tremendously, man. So it's just a great setup, man. Super, super good setup.
Yeah, I can imagine when the random person sees you play golf and say, "Hey, why don't you play professionally?" And you just be like, "Hey, why don't you come to Isleworth one day? Let me show you what." Let me show you this. Clearly you've had this great summer and that great recap, and it sounds like 21's been good to you. We need to talk about one of the things I definitely want to talk about is this win that you just picked up, which I think I texted you right after you won. It was like, yeah, Esteve's going to play another PGA Tour event. #yawn, #not surprised. So you go down to the Dominican Republic and you play in, not a lot of history with this tournament. This was the inaugural, but I think it's easily got one of the best names I've ever heard of a championship. I mean, this is fantastic. The Devil's Elbow Invitational.
That's right.
That's fantastic. So, let's start from the beginning. You're in and around the amateur space. All the key players. All the key tournaments. Any whispering, any buzz, I'm sure it's coming your way at some point. When does the Devil's Elbow Invitational first kind of hit your radar?
I'll take it further back.
Sure.
It's been a couple. We've been talking about having a mid-am event in the Caribbean for a while. We wanted to invite mid-ams down. Originally, it was Puerto Rico. We kept trying to come up with a way where we can bring mid-ams from the U.S., from Latin America, and even from Europe. Down and to Puerto Rico and invite them down there and show them our island and show them what we're about and introduce them to our culture and our food and our and everything else, the beaches, the booze, the women, everything. And
that by the way, you said booze, not boobs, right? You said booze, right?
Booze, yeah, booze.
Okay. All right, just checking. Okay.
Yeah. And that was kind of like the original plan. It was like, hey, we got to figure out a way to have a Mid-Am event in Puerto Rico. And we just kind of never really got it launched. We talked about it, but we never figured out dates. We never really nailed down the venue. We just couldn't, put it concrete. And then in the Dominican Republic, there's a little tour they have for the pros down there that a local beer company promotes called Cañita Tour, where they play. They have a purse for their local pros, and amateurs go down there and play. And one of our amateurs, one of my good buddies, and my roommate in all our Puerto Rico national team events, this guy by the name of Eric Morales. He goes to almost all of them, and the guy that runs Punta Cana Resorts, who also helps run the Cañita Tour, is a guy by the name of Hiram Silva. And I think Eric mentioned to him in passing, hey, man, we should try to get a Mid-Am event. These amateurs that play, these are cool. We should try to get a Mid-Am event down here. And Hiram's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we can do it on this golf course, and they can stay at the Westin. And then, so then when they kind of put that together, that's kind of when Eric reached out to me. He's like, hey, man, I'm with Hiram. We're thinking of doing this. Let's put a tournament together. I was like, man, I'm all in. If we want to make this unreal, can we get a spot into the tour event? And Hiram is like, yeah, we can get a spot into the tour event. It didn't take, it took him like 5 seconds to be
That's
like, yeah,
crazy.
I think we can make that happen. And that's why I was like, man, let's do this. So we're all in. Right. And that was, that really started about 6 months ago, where we really started, the serious planning. And we looked at dates, and I wanted to make sure that that we didn't interfere with any, long-standing Mid-Am events.
Right.
I knew the Crane Cup got canceled. That was an event that guys love playing, coming down to Florida, and that was usually mid-November before Thanksgiving. They moved the Birmingham event to early November, and that's an unbelievable event. I played in that before, and I got a lot of friends there, so I didn't want to piss anybody off. So I kind of, we chose a date of kind of when the Crane Cup was. It was a good week where, the Crane Cup used to always get a good feel. Guys used to like, being in the warm weather. It's kind of like as a last hurrah before they hung him up. So that's kind of the day we picked. And then, we started promoting it on social media. Obviously, I would tell, kind of the tournaments I was playing, I would tell people about it. We had, it took off. We came up with a logo. We came up with a name. We came up with this. We came up with that. And the first year was, a little rough book, I know the registration process wasn't easy. The confirmation wasn't easy. But we hope to improve all that, and to give a lot of guys credit, at one point we had 90 guys. We did sell out. We wanted about 72 guys. And at one point we had about 90 guys signed up. I think some of that was exploratory. Some guys were like, hey, let me see what this is all about.
Right.
So yeah, we had a big field set up. The top 20 guys or so were really strong. And I thought we were going to have, a really intense, battle. But between, life and the end of the season and, guys start getting, it was the logistics of getting down there. It was easier than Nantucket. But it's still, you're going down to the Dominican Republic.
It's a different country, and it's passports, and it's COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot of action going on, and a lot of guys bail last minute. Which, listen, I get it. I've done that before. It's never easy to do, but I understand it.
Maybe they didn't build up as much collateral as you did in your debit card during COVID.
But I will say though, Ben, in all my invites to people, I was like, this will be very white friendly.
Okay.
So I said that to everybody. I was like, look, you can either go stag or you could bring your wife. Either way, you're going to have a great time. So, my wife was always included in this turn. Listen, the beach there is beautiful. It's hard not for the ladies not to have a good time. It's just, there obviously isn't a lot of tradition that we're respecting. There is no, we're creating the tradition as we speak. And,
Yeah.
So, but it was hard, we got lucky. We left our kids with our in-laws, and, people were in school. I get it, man. It's not easy at all. So, so we ended up having, I think we have 44 guys that ended up coming down, and, man, honestly, we had a blast. The course was set up, like really like they set it up for the tour event. Um, um, Pins were really good. We played 7,400 yards at least. And it wasn't easy, man.
It's really, and it's important that as a first time out, I mean, of course, you're going to have the leeway of maybe the field isn't as robust and plentiful because there are a lot of factors. It's the end of the year. It's COVID. It's a different, all that stuff, passports. But it's also really important that you set this up in a way, at least in my opinion, that it is, you're going to a nice resort and everyone's enjoying the amenities, but still, you want this to be a serious mid-am invitational that's gonna grow in tradition. And when you add a PGA Tour exemption to it, I don't know. I mean, let's forget about the U.S. mid-am for a minute. Is there any other tournament like this right now in the mid-am space?
I think the Canadian mid-am
gets into the RBC.
Gets you in the RBC. I think that's the only one. And you're right. You nailed it. That was always my thing. Like, hey, this can't be a joke. Like, we can't have guys here that are like,
it can't be a drink and a booze hit and giggle kind of thing.
Right. Like, has to be like, if there's a tour event on the line, I mean, this is, I think guys will be fired up for it. And I was trying to curate the field so that, it is a serious, it's a real tournament where you got to play good golf, and whoever wins the event goes and represents well for mid-ams in the tour event. Right. I mean, It was, that was always kind of my contention. Like, hey, we can't turn this into, like, we got to make this a legit event. So
because people, if they want to do their buddies, kind of, if this turned into just like a vacation thing, well, people have their own places they go for vacation. Like, this can't be that.
Correct. So what we ended up with was a good field. Although it was, there was only 44 guys. It was a good field. I think maybe it was like 50-50 guys with wives, guys that came stag. Maybe 60-40 guys with wives, guys that came stag. And what it turned into was, there was a little bit of a cluster in the practice rounds where, like, we said you could tee off from 9, all the way, to like whenever. But, we got there and they had like an event for the members in the morning. So, everybody, like, oh, are you playing a practice round today? Yeah. Like, they basically put everybody at 12:30 as a practice round. So we all went out, 12:30, 12:40, 1 o'clock. We're all playing. They split the tees. We all went out, and there was no wind. Guys, a lot of guys honestly hadn't been out of the country. A lot of guys had never been to the Dominican Republic. They certainly had never been to this resort, had never seen the golf course.
Sure.
And you get out there and there's no wind, and the fairways are on it, very generous. The guys went out there and they thought they were going to light this place up. They're like, oh, and pins were in the middle of every green, like you do for USGA practice rounds.
Sure.
And, guys were like, oh, it's very pretty, but, 15 under is going to win this. I was like, hey, guys, listen, wind usually blows 20 miles an hour down here, like every day. This is what happens every day. It blows 15 to 20. There's no let up, and sure enough, man, that day we played practice rounds. We all had nice dinners. The resort is beautiful. The rooms were very generous. The food was great. They came out with this great all-inclusive package for the players in the tournament, man. So, booze was included, food. And I mean, listen, you were in 85-degree weather in the Caribbean in a beautiful resort. So guys had a good time. And then we show up, we're playing early. That, I figured for the wives, if we played early in the morning, we could be done by 1-2 o'clock, spend all afternoon with them, and they'd be happy with that. And that's kind of what it turned out.
Brilliant.
When I when we showed up early the first day to play, guess what? The fan turned on. It was blowing 15 to 20, and the range was packed and guys were grinding and hitting balls, and then it started feeling like a real tournament. And they did a great job with the course setup. It's easy. It's hard to mess up because the tour plays in that same course, right? So they have the pin positions. They know how to set up the golf course. I mean, we use the tour tee markers, the tour, ice water coolers in every other tee box,
right.
The tour, trash bags. I mean, it was they set up like the tour event, except there was no patrons and there was no cameras, but the course was set up how they played in the tour. So the setup was great. It was competitive that first round. I think guys got a little wake up call on the rounds on the golf course and what it really meant to play with wind. And we had a very competitive day. I know a couple of us played well. I kind of hung around all day, man. I kind of had the less going there for a while and just kind of stay patient. And I birdied the last couple holes to shoot 3 under. And Ryan Abate played great all day, man. He was so solid and played great. And I couldn't believe I clipped him there with those 2 birdies. I kind of felt like I cheated him there at the end. But took a 1-shot lead into the next day. And second day, pins were even harder. The wind was still up. And, kind of scores kind of came back a little bit more than the first day. And I played solid again and just kind of hung in there. And then the beauty of all this was like we're playing and it's really intense on the golf course, right? Because we're trying to win a tournament, and we kind of know at least I knew was at stake. Because man, you're trying to how much fun is it to play a tour event, right?
PGA Tour event,
like I want to play in a tour event, right? And that was always on the line. That's a huge carrot. So man, you're trying to play good golf, and but then you're done with golf. You hand in your scorecard, and you're like, all right, man, beer me, pool me, sunscreen me, and then I got everybody hooked on this light rum, this Brugal Brugal Blanco, man. We're all drinking this stuff in the pool, and everybody's hanging in the pool where the wives and the girlfriends are hanging out. A couple guys brought their kids, they're hanging out, and we'd have the ball of a time in the pool all day or in the beach or whatever. And then, next morning it got serious again, and it was serious for about 5 hours.
Yep.
And then it was a great time, man. So it was great that it was a small group. The camaraderie was fantastic. The competition was intense. That final round was really back and forth between Ryan and I. Really, for most of the day, I pulled ahead there. Kind of late in the first 9 holes, I birdied 7 and 8, and they kind of built a little cushion. And then, man, he made a big putt for par on the 12th hole, I think it was, 11th hole, and I made one right on top of it, and that kind of kept me in it. And then I was able to birdie 12 and build a little bit of a bigger gap, and I ended up winning, I think, by 5. But it was intense golf for the whole tournament, man. So I think to a T, all the competitors had a great time, and I think more importantly, and I think what's going to lead to the long-term success of the tournament, hopefully, is that the girlfriends and wives all had a great time.
Yeah. No, you got all the bases covered, and all the little administrative things that maybe didn't go perfectly the first time. That's normal, growing pains with anything. I mean, that every tournament always has that the first year. You make notes of what kind of could be done differently the following year, and you clean up those little things. But, you got the course and the resort, and having a resort like that and a facility like that behind you 100%, what more can you ask for? Now, honestly, obviously, you've won this. You're going to get this exemption into the PGA Tour event down there. But it sounds to me that if this tournament was not held there and you didn't have the benefit of getting everyone hooked on this rum, you may not have won by 5. Is that an accurate statement?
I think that's right. I think
so. Little home cooking.
Yeah, guys, guys had a great time, man, for sure. But no, but you nailed it, Ben. I mean, look, the resort was behind it. They did a great job. We had listen, the first day we had a cocktail party before the first round, and they had this beautiful setup right on the beach, unbelievable with food and everything. And man, it starts pouring, and everybody was cool about it. Everybody kind of hung out in the rain, and then we kind of called it and moved everything to like this little bar that there is in the hotel inside, and guys hung out late, and Huron did a great job. The guys that own the resort, were very welcoming, and they're all in for next year, man. They're very proud of their resort. They should be. I mean, it's a world class of thing. It's people think of the Dominican Republic and they might have a vision, but they don't understand that there's 5, 6, 7, 8, $10 million homes all over this golf course. Inside this resort, there's we pulled up, there's 10 private jets there. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a beautiful place. The Dominican people couldn't have been nicer, and I think everybody had a great time, man. So we're ecstatic with the way it turned out. Like you said, there's a bunch of little stuff we got to improve, but we really think that this is a great event. We like the time slot. I think the feedback from it was good, and we hope we can keep having it for years to come. And and we also hope that next year there's more guys vying for that spot. And guess what? You gotta go down there and play golf.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you gotta go down and play solid, man. So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the tour event, man. I'm pumped really that. Listen, you get a win. It's so hard to win, man. I'm 40 years old, and it's so hard to win at golf. So to be able to win, to have fun doing it, and to do it with friends, to see my friends have a good time down there, to see the guys I put the tournament together with, and they really did all the hard work, man. Have a good time. Be proud of what we did. It was just such a rewarding week. I was exhausted afterwards. I'm not gonna lie.
No, yeah, because you're host and playing in it. And I'm sure, as much as Hiram and Eric, they're answering questions for people, but I'm sure a lot of the guys are coming to you with stuff as well.
Yeah, so it was a great team effort, man. The club did. I mean, the members lending us the course, on a really on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, it was just. Yeah. It was big time, man. And they loved it. Everybody loved it, man. And I'll tell you, Amateur Golf put it on their site. Helped us with that. John Keane with his Mid-Am Golf HQ helped us promote it. Scott Harvey, man, he was gonna come down and play and bail last minute, and he added it as a counting event, points event for the East-West matches, man, which is a big deal. So. Yeah, man, we hope we can keep it going. Again, the ownership team there at Punta Cana, was behind it, man. They showed up to the cocktail. They're very supportive, man. So we're excited. Again, next year, the goal is to have 80, 90 guys and have it be a really good field, and but not step on anybody's toes, right? And have guys come down and have a good time and introduce them again to the Caribbean, Ben, which was the point from the beginning. Like, hey, man, the golf down here is great. The people down here is great. It's beautiful. Come on down. We're obviously very reliant on tourism in both islands. Yeah. We love it. We love having guys down there, and we love it when guys go down and have a great time, and it's an added bonus when the wives have an even better time, right? And
I love that you're hitting upon that, because you're right. I mean, mid-ams, you gotta clear it with the wives and the girlfriends, and you're creating something that, yes, it's competitive, and there's a PGA Tour exemption on the line, but let's make sure all aspects and everyone's having a good time. So I think it's great. So I will put in the show notes of this episode, we got a lot of mid-ams that listen to this podcast, and I mean, this is a great endorsement for it. So I'll put a link to the tournament, the link to the tournament website in the show notes of this episode. And obviously people that listen to the podcast and follow on social media, I'll throw some stuff up there as well. I'll get you out of here on this one, Jero. So this is not going to be your first PGA Tour event. You've played in the Puerto Rico Open, I believe, twice.
Correct. Yeah.
And I know a big goal of yours is to make a cut at a PGA Tour event. So
Yeah.
my question for you that will get you out of here on is, what your desired outcome is, what your expectations are and what your goal is. How do you free yourself up to achieve that at this event?
Ben, one thing I've gotten better at, the older I get, man, is really when you're on the golf course, is just focusing on the shot you got to hit and where you're trying to aim, right? And it's like a cliche and it's stupid, man. But honestly, at the end of the day, man, like the more I focus on that, and the more I'm worried about, what is my target? What am I trying to do with this shot? The better I play, man. So, my challenge that week is, my family's gonna want to be down there. We're probably gonna, rent a place where all we're gonna stay, and the excitement of playing a tour event, man, is how can I go back to just that? Like, hey, where am I aiming on this first hole off the tee? What shot am I trying to hit? And then after I hit that shot, go to the next shot, right? And I know that, like, I joke all the time, and I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm not that smart. But this is taking me 40 years really to figure out, man. We're like, that's really all it's about, man. Just figure out where you're trying to hit it and what kind of shot you're trying to hit, and then do it, and then go to the next shot, and that's been a big part of my success this year is just really boiling it down to that, and the tournaments that I'm able to do that and not, play superhero or think about this or thinking about that or worry about stuff that hasn't even happened yet, the better I play, man. So, that's going to hopefully be my key that week, man. And I think if I do that, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make a living out there. I joked on the Golf Channel the other day, man. We're like, kind of the beauty of our game and what we compete in is if we don't play well, like, we have our job, that we can kind of fall back on. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that, and next year, hopefully next year is another good year of golf, man. I doubt I'll be able to play the events I played this year or as many events, but man, I was really confident going to the Mid-Am this year, and I was kind of upset I didn't make it past the first round. I didn't putt very well, and I didn't play well enough when it counted. And obviously, I think most of our goals is to make a deep run in the Mid-Am and give ourselves a chance to win it. So, kind of keep working on my game throughout the whole year when the wife and the kids let me, and and see what I can do, man. That's the end game is, for me, I have two big tournaments every year. We have one in January. I don't know if you'll be there. Are you going to go to the Dominican for the Latin American?
I think there's an excellent chance that I'll be seeing you, and maybe you'll introduce me to some of this rum that you're so fond of.
That's correct.
Because the little bit of rum keeps the camera steady, which I found is really important when taking pictures. So
I got your back, man. So
okay.
Yeah, I got your back, man.
That's a possibility. I might be seeing you down there.
So yeah, we got the LAC for me is a huge event, and then hopefully the Mid-Am. Those are the two ginormous ones, and
right.
Then man, look, man, we're so lucky, right? I mean, between all the ones we get to play, and they're all big, man. They're all big, but I think if you had to pick some for me to play really well in, those are obviously the crown jewels and
Pine Valley and Thomas and also the Coleman's coming back next year.
That Coleman's coming back too, yeah. So actually, you know what? We might have to delete all this. I take that all back, man. They're all
just
big.
Playing everything. The wife and the kids. Give them a picture. They know what you look like. It's fine. I mean, that's not going to work. Okay, sorry.
No, it's not going to work, man. Yeah,
right. It's not going to work. That's my fault. I'm stirring up some shit. Well, I'm glad you're able to stop by and kind of not only share. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic that you won. it's fantastic that you're getting this another crack at a PGA Tour event. But in all seriousness, I think it's great. You're a tremendous ambassador for not just the mid-am, but for just you're a great ambassador for amateur golf. Everyone that runs into you just always leaves after talking to you with a smile on their face. So I'm really happy for you and really happy for this tournament because this could really end up being something very, very special for many people and for many reasons. So not just the resort, but the people that get to go down there to play the golf, the families and the friends that get to go support it. I think it's great. So I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range again. We gotta make this a little bit more frequent. It can't just be like every 2-3 years. We got to make this more of a frequent thing. But
listen, man, I'm impressed. I'm still even on your radar, man. This is like a huge honor for me, man. This is unreal.
Come on, this is a guy. I mean, how much rum did you bring back to Florida? I mean, what's happening over there right now? Are you okay?
So there's great Dominican rum, and then in Florida I like my Puerto Rican rum, man. So listen, I got to introduce you to that too, man. No worries.
This episode is just, I mean, we're talking about booze and boobs and rum, and this is a whole thing. I mean, there's a lot going on here. I mean, and I try and introduce like the intricacies of the game and the best players in amateur golf, and right now people are just saying I got to book a trip to the Dominican because there's women and booze rolling around. So I don't know what we're selling here, but we're doing a good job of it. So.
I love it.
Well, you have a great holiday. Enjoy the rest of this year, and we'll be looking for you in 2022. And again, I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range.
All right, Ben. Thanks, buddy. See you, man.
And there you have it, another great episode with Jeronimo Esteve. Thank you so much to him for joining me this week at the back of the range. Again, check out the show notes of this episode. Links to his first episode, number 61. Links to the Devil's Elbow Invitational website. Go check that out, and we'll see you again next time here at the back of the range.